Hello, lovely people. We are back with chapter 15. And this is before Pilate. Jesus before the Pilate. So, chapter 15, here we go. Very early in the morning, the chief priests and the elders and the teachers of the law and the whole Sanhedrin made their plans. So they bound Jesus and led him away and handed him over to Pilate. "Are you the king of Jews?" asked Pilate. "You said so," Jesus replied. The chief priests accused him of many things. So again Pilate asked him, "Aren't you going to answer? See how many things they have accused you of?" But Jesus still made no reply, and Pilate was amazed. So now it was the custom of the festival to release a prisoner whom the people request. A man called Barnabas was in prison with the instruction with the insurrectionists who had committed murder in the spring. The crowd came up and asked Pilate to do for them what they usually did. "Do you want me to release to you the King of Jews?" asked Pilate, knowing it was out of self-interest that the chief priests had handed him over to him. But the chief priests stirred up the crowd. "Have Pilate release Barnabas instead." "What shall I do?" "Then the one you call the King of Jews," Pilate asked him. "Crucify him," they shouted. "Why? What crime has he committed?" asked Pilate. But they shouted all the louder, "Crucify him." Wanting to satisfy the crowd, Pilate released Barnabas to them. He had Jesus flogged and handed over to be crucified. The soldiers led Jesus away into the palace, that is, the Petromus, and called together the whole company of soldiers. They put a purple robe on him, then twist together a crown of thorns and set it on his head. They began to call out to him, "Hail, King of Jews!" Again, they struck him on the head with the staff and spit on him. Falling to their knees, they paid homage to him. And when they had mocked him, they took off the purple robe and put on his clothes. They put his own clothes on him. Then they led him out to be crucified. A certain man from Cyrene, Simon, the father of Alexander and Rufus, was passing by on his way in from the country, and they forced him to carry his cross. They brought Jesus to a place called Golgotha, which means the place of the skull. Then they offered him wine mixed with myrrh, but he did not take it, and they crucified him. Dividing up the clothes, they cast lots to see which to see what each would get. It was 9 in the morning when they crucified him. The written notice of the charge against him read, "The King of Jews." They crucified 2 rebels with him, one on his right and one on his left. Those who passed by hurled insults at him, shaking their heads and saying, "So, you who are going to destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, come down from the cross, save yourself." In the same way, the chief priests and the teachers of the law mocked him among themselves. "He saved others," they said, "but he couldn't save himself. Let this Messiah, the King of Israel, come down now from the cross, that we may see and believe." Those crucified with him also heaped insult on him. At noon, darkness came over the whole land until 3 in the afternoon. And at 3 in the afternoon, Jesus cried out a loud voice, "Elohi, Elohi, lama sabachthani," which means, my God, why have you forsaken me?" When some of those standing near heard this, they said, "Listen, he calls Elijah." Someone ran, filled a sponge with wine vinegar, put it on a staff, and offered it to Jesus to drink. "Now leave him alone. Let's see if Elijah comes to take him down," he said. He cried out, with a loud cry, Jesus breathed his last, and the curtains of the temple was torn in 2 from the top to the bottom. And when the centurion who stood there in front of Jesus saw how he died, he said, "Surely this man was the Son of God." Some women were watching from a distance. Among them there were Mary Magdalene, Mary, mother of James the younger, Mary, the mother of James the younger, and Joseph and Salome. In Galilee, these women had followed him and cared for his needs. Many other women who had come up with him to Jerusalem were also there. It was prepared that day. This is the day before the Sabbath. So as evening approached, Joseph of Arimathea, the potential member of the council, who was himself waiting for the kingdom of God, went boldly to Pilate and asked him for his body. Pilate was surprised to hear that he was already dead. Summoning the centurion, he asked him if Jesus had already died. When he learned from the centurion that it was so, he gave his body to Joseph. So Joseph brought some linen cloth, took down the body, wrapped it in the linen, and placed it in the tomb and cut out a rock. Then they rolled a stone against the entrance of the tomb. Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of Joseph, saw where he had laid